I want you to come and help me search for the intruder, Filch. I. Yes, Professor, but. Filch looked yearningly up the stairs, right through Harry, who could see that he was very reluctant to forego the chance of cornering Peeves. Go, Harry pleaded with him silently. Go with Snape. Go. Mrs. Norris was peering around Filch's legs. Harry had the distinct impression that she could smell him. Why had he filled that bath with so much perfumed foam? The thing is, Professor, said Filch plaintively, the headmaster will have to listen to me this time. Peeves has been stealing from a student. It might be my chance to get him thrown out of the castle once and for all. Filch, I don't care about that wretched poltergeist. It's my office that's... Clunk, clunk, clunk. Snape stopped talking very abruptly. He and Filch both looked down at the foot of the stairs. Harry saw Mad-Eye Moody limp into sight through the narrow gap between their heads. Moody was wearing his old traveling cloak over his nightshirt and leaning on his staff as usual. Pajama party, is it? He growled up the stairs. Professor Snape and I heard voices, Professor, said Filch at once. Peeves the poltergeist throwing things around as usual. And then Professor Snape discovered that someone had broken into his office. Shut up, Snape hissed at Filch. Moody took a step closer to the foot of the stairs. Harry saw Moody's magical eye travel over Snape and then unmistakably onto himself. Harry's heart gave a horrible jolt. Moody could see through his invisibility cloaks. He alone could see the full strangeness of the scene. Snape in his nightshirt, Filch clutching the egg, and he, Harry, trapped in the stairs behind them. Moody's lopsided gash of a mouth opened in surprise. For a few seconds he and Harry stared straight into each other's eyes. Then Moody closed his mouth and turned his blue eye upon Snape again. Did I hear that correctly, Snape? Someone broke into your office? It is unimportant, said Snape coldly. On the contrary, it is very important. Who'd want to break into your office? A student, I dare say, said Snape. Harry could see a vein flickering horribly on Snape's greasy temple. It has happened before. Potion ingredients have gone missing from my private store cupboard. Students attempting illicit mixtures, no doubt. Reckon they're after potion ingredients, eh? Not hiding anything else in your office, are ya? Harry saw the edge of Snape's sallow face turn a nasty brick color, the vein in his temple pulsing more rapidly. You know I'm hiding nothing, Moody, he said, in a soft, dangerous voice, as you've searched my office pretty thoroughly yourself. Moody's face twisted into a smile. Ours privilege, Snape. Dumbledore told me to keep an eye. Dumbledore happens to trust me, said Snape through clenched teeth. I refuse to believe that he gave you orders to search my office. Course Dumbledore trusts you, growled Moody. He's a trusting man, isn't he? Believes in second chances. But me, I say there are spots that don't come off, Snape. Spots that never come off, do you know what I mean? Snape suddenly did something very strange. He seized his left forearm compulsively with his right hand as though something on it had hurt him. Moody laughed. Get back to bed, Snape. You don't have the authority to send me anywhere, Snape hissed, letting go of his arm as though angry with himself. I have as much right to prowl this school after dark as you do. Prowl away, said Moody, but his voice was full of menace. I look forward to meeting you in a dark corridor sometime. You've dropped something, by the way. With a stab of horror, Harry saw Moody point at the Marauder's map, still lying on the staircase, 6 steps below him. As Snape and Filch both turned to look at it, Harry threw caution to the winds. He raised his arms under the cloak and waved furiously at Moody to attract his attention, mouthing, "It's mine, it's mine!" Snape had reached out for it, a horrible expression of dawning comprehension on his face. Accio parchment! The map flew into the air, slipped through Snape's outstretched fingers, and soared down the stairs into Moody's hand. So it should have been Accio parchment. My mistake, Moody said calmly. It's mine. Must have dropped it earlier. But Snape's black eyes were darting from the egg in Filch's arms to the map in Moody's hand, and Harry could tell he was putting 2 and 2 together, as only Snape could. Potter, he said quietly. What's that? Said Moody calmly, folding up the map and pocketing it. Potter, Snape snarled, and he actually turned his head and stared right at the place where Harry was, as though he could suddenly see him. That egg is Potter's egg. That piece of parchment belongs to Potter. I have seen it before. I recognize it. Potter is here. Potter! In his invisibility cloak. Snape stretched out his hands like a blind man and began to move up the stairs. Harry could have sworn his overlarge nostrils were dilating, trying to sniff Harry out. Trapped, Harry leaned backward, trying to avoid Snape's fingertips, but any moment now... There's nothing there, Snape, barked Moody, but I'll be happy to tell the headmaster how quickly your mind jumped to Harry Potter. Meaning what? Snape turned again to look at Moody, his hand still outstretched, inches from Harry's chest. Meaning that Dumbledore's very interested to know who's got it in for that boy, said Moody, limping nearer still to the foot of the stairs. And so am I, Snape. Very interested. The torchlight flickered across his mangled face so that the scars and the chunk missing from his nose looked deeper and darker than ever. Snape was looking down at Moody, and Harry couldn't see the expression on his face. For a moment, nobody moved or said anything. Then Snape slowly lowered his hands. I merely thought, said Snape in a voice of forced calm, that if Potter was wandering around after hours again, it's an unfortunate habit of his. He should be stopped for his own safety. Ah, I see, said Moody. Got Potter's best interests at heart, have you? There was a pause. Snape and Moody were staring at each other. Mrs. Norris gave a loud meow, still peering around Filch's legs, looking for the source of Harry's bubble bath smell. I think I will go back to bed, said Snape. Best idea you've had all night, said Moody. Now, Filch, if you'll just give me that egg. No, said Filch, clutching the egg as though it were his firstborn son. Professor Moody, this is evidence of Peeves' treachery. It's the property of the champion he stole it from, said Moody. Hand it over, now. Snape swept downstairs and passed Moody without another word. Filch made a chirping noise to Mrs. Norris, who stared blankly at Harry for a few more seconds before turning and following her master. Still breathing very fast, Harry heard Snape walking away from the corridor. Filch handed Moody the egg and disappeared from view also, muttering to Mrs. Norris, "Never mind, my sweet. We'll see Dumbledore in the morning. Tell him what Peeves has been up to." Boop. Now what? Now that Harry and Moody are alone in that stairway, now what's going to happen? Is he going to leave him there? Is he going to help him out, help him get unstuck? Don't know.